right on the CINA 102.3 app at CINAFM.com, on TuneIn, on smart speaker, and at 102.3 FM. CINA Radio, every device, everywhere. The following program does not necessarily reflect the opinions of the management, staff, or advertisers of CINA Radio.
Joumana Kayrouz. You've seen her images on giant billboards across the metro. Joumana Kayrouz. You've seen her images on buses across the city. Now get to know Joumana Kayrouz.
The war broke out in my home country, Lebanon. I was 11 years old, and I saw a lot of bloodshed and inequality and poverty. You can't grow up in an environment like that and not be affected by it and not want to make a difference. I graduated from Yale University with a master's in ethics. I speak 4 languages. It has always been innate in me fighting for the underdog and trying to do whatever it is I can to make a difference in the world.
Let Joumana Kayrouz protect your rights. Call the law offices of Joumana Kayrouz at 1-866-YOUR-RIGHTS, extension 100, or visit yourrights.com.
برنامج يور رايتس مع المحامية جومانا كيروز المختصة في قضايا حوادث السيارات، مع نخبة من المحامين في اختصاصات عدة منها الطلاق والهجرة والإفلاس، يأتيكم الآن على الهواء مباشرة. تحية طيبة لكم مستمعينا، أهلا وسهلا فيكم في حلقة جديدة من برنامج يور رايتس مع المحامية جومانا كيروز على الهواء مباشرة. نستقبل اتصالاتكم ومشاركاتكم 313-769-6666 519-256-1023. واليوم الحلقة مخصصة عن فاميلي لو والكريمنال لو، فنتمنى تكون الأسئلة محصورة بهذا الموضوع. ومكاتب المحامية جومانا كيروز دائما تستقبل مختلف القضايا المتعلقة بالبيرسونال انجريز، اكسيدنتس، immigration، bankruptcy، قضايا متعلقة بالضمان الاجتماعي وإصابات العمل. الحلقات موجودة دائما، هذا الحلقات البرنامج المعادة على الموقع الإلكتروني yourrights.com/radio، بالإضافة إلى موقع اليوتيوب. كل ما عليكم والبحث عن قناة جومانا كيروز. تحياتنا لكم وأهلا وسهلا بك جومانا، ونرحب بك في غد سينا.
صباح الخير رامي، صباح الخير المشمس لكل المستمعين، وصباح الخير للضيف تبع اليوم، محامي من المحاميين اللي بيشتغلوا عندي بالمكتب، المحامي مارك كزدكي. Attorney Mark Kazaki, 27 years of experience. Welcome again from the office.
Good afternoon.
Thank you very much. Thank you for taking the time to help me prepare for today's radio program. We have a lot of things we want to go over. We will see if we get calls, how the calls will take us. But I just want to remind the listeners that Attorney Mark Kazaki is one of the attorneys who works in our office. He does have 27 years of experience in family law, in criminal law, in landlord-tenant, adoption. Let me specify a little bit more. When I say family law, we could be talking about child support, alimony, divorce, domestic violence, separation, although domestic violence is technically criminal, separation, personal protection orders, PPOs, adoptions, juvenile court, which is also criminal, prenups, postnups. When we're talking about criminal, we're talking about things like, it includes things like drunk driving, expungements of records, driving without a license, drug possession, domestic violence, etc. And I also want to remind the listeners that all of our consultations in every department are free and they are also confidential. Correct? You're nodding your head.
Correct.
The listeners cannot hear you.
Correct.
Okay. The number to call here, if you have any question pertaining to family and or criminal, is 313-769-6666, and from Windsor, 519-256-1023. Again, from Detroit, 313-769-6666, and from Windsor, 519-256-1023. We have a lot of things we want to talk about, but we would much rather hear from our listeners because this allows us to know, what issues are on their minds, what questions, they want the answer, what could be the sticking points, out there in the community as far as family law, as far as criminal, as far as landlord, tenant, and the like. And I understand that perhaps we have our first caller. Okay, very good. We will take our first caller. Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Very good, sir. Who are we talking with?
George.
Hello, this is George. Welcome to the radio, to the show, and go ahead with your question, please.
I got some questions about the PPO.
Yes.
Yeah. I got a problem with someone I was in business with,
Okay.
and I gave him half the amount with checks, and the other amount, the other half was cash.
Okay, so you have a
And-
dispute, you have a business dispute with somebody you did business with, whereby you gave an amount he is owed, half in a check and half in cash, correct?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So when we are done with the job, he gave me the half with the checks, and the other half he did not return, and he started threatening me and
So
stuff.
let me
and-
understand. Did you file, or was there a litigation between the two of you? Is that why you went to court?
No, we did not go to the court, but when we finished the business, I asked him for the money. He gave me the half, the other half he did not,
Okay.
and he refused to give it back to me. Then
Okay.
he texted me and started threatening me and telling me some lies about me to make me scared about asking him about my rights, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Back in that time, I did not have citizenship. That's why I think he got this point, because I was afraid to do anything against him because I only had green card. But right now I have citizenship. So what can I do to have a PPO against him? Then I
Okay.
can
So the
move
first
up to
so the
get my
first
rights.
so the first question I want to ask you is, when the alleged things happened, you were a green card holder but not a US citizen, correct?
Exactly.
Okay. So when that harassing behavior began, the texting, the threatening, when was that? Was that a month ago, a year ago, 5 years ago?
That was year and 4 months, I believe so, ago.
Okay, so it was about 15 months ago. And one last question before I turn the answer to Attorney Mark Gazdagi. Did you or did you not file a police report?
No, man.
Okay.
Because
yeah.
I was afraid to do something like, especially last year, everyone who has green card, they were afraid to have anything against them, even if it's live, even if there's no proof, to not slow down the citizenship process to get that. You know what I'm saying?
Because of the climate that we are in, a lot of U.S. green card holders are trying to be cautious so that they can get their citizenship and not get in trouble somehow. Correct?
Exactly.
And that was your situation. And now you are an American citizen.
Exactly.
And you want to know if you still have a recourse against this gentleman. Okay, let me just summarize this in Arabic before we give you the floor. خلاصة الأمر، السيد جورج عم يتصل ليقول إنه هو كان داخل ببزنس مع شخص تاني. الشخص التاني هو بده من الشخص التاني كتير مصاري. الشخص التاني اللي دخل ببزنس معه عطاه نص المبلغ بس مش النص التاني، ولحتى to discourage him، لما يشجعه انه يطالب بالنص التاني، صار يبعث له تكستس وكان عم بيهدد فيهم. الاستاذ جورج ما حب يعمل شيء بوقتها ولا حتى قدم بوليس ريبورت. عم نحكي من تقريبا سنة و3 أشهر، تقريبا سنة ونص give or take، لأنه كان فقط جرين كارد هولدر وما كان بده ياخد ريسك، خطر انه يتعرض لاي شيء كونه رح يحصل على الجنسيه، وهلا صار هو صاحب جنسيه. وسؤاله هل بيقدر من بعد مرور 15 شهر انه يقدم PPO على شيء حصل من 15 شهر؟ Can Mr. George file a PPO against someone who allegedly threatened him 15 months prior? No police report, yes or no?
Good morning.
Good
Or
morning.
sorry, good afternoon,
Good
sir.
afternoon, yeah.
Yes, good afternoon, sir. With a 15-month span, really the judge probably would not order a PPO, a personal protection
And
order.
the reason for that is?
It's well, first there's two reasons. One is it's so old.
So what does that mean?
Because there's no immediacy.
Okay, so what we want to start is by telling the listeners that you can only obtain a PPO when you are in immediate danger of harm.
Harm or threat of harm. Yeah.
Okay, and the more time goes on, the more difficult it is for you to prove that you are in immediate threat of harm.
That's so correct, Joumana.
Okay.
And then second of all, it's a business relationship. And they're looking more towards lines of personal relationships. In the terms of of a non-familial relationship, or like a dating relationship or a family relationship, and it's not like neighbors, they try to do what's called restraining orders.
So what's the difference between a personal protection order and a restraining order?
Personal protection orders is good for 1 year, and they can be renewed, and they're basically based on the threat or of immediate harm. With restraining orders help you while you're in the process of litigation, and that's where you're pretty much heading towards. This person owes you money for work you did.
But there is no litigation between them.
Not right now. He still can.
He still can. So would a restraining order be a better fit for Mr. George than a personal protection order at this stage?
Let me ask you a question, Mr. George. Have you had any further discussions with each other in the past 15 months?
I tried to call him later and talk to him gently, but he refused it. The calls I called him, and he sent text message to someone else that I know him too, and he told him about dangerous stuff that never happened. He tried to put some criminal stuff on me to make me scared more. So I quit doing that. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
He told me yeah, you stole, you killed, you did that, and I'm still 24 years old. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I came to America when I was 18. So when did I have that time to do all these things? So I said, I'm gonna quit talking to him. I will focus on my citizenship. Then after that, I will focus on getting my right back.
Okay. How much money are you saying that is owed to you?
It's about 10 grand.
Okay. And that would be a district court matter, because anything from $0 to $25,000 is in the district court's jurisdiction.
In other words, you can file, if you have the proof, obviously, or good proof, or enough proof, you can file a civil lawsuit against him for the $10,000 he's owed. Putting that aside for a minute, can you tell me what the definition of a restraining order is?
Well, a restraining order is an order by the court that says that neither side can perform or do any act that's offensive against the other party.
So it applies to both sides?
Both sides.
Okay. And
mutually.
Okay, but somebody obviously invokes the power of the court, and what proof do you need to show? What kind of proof is a court looking for before they issue a restraining order, keeping two people or two parties away from each other?
Well, normally it's like in a neighborly setting, it's like, please do not go on their property, do not block their driveway.
So it's kind of ongoing situations.
It's an ongoing situation. It's very fact specific to the situation you're in. Like in divorce, it's, in family settings, it's more along the lines of, you shall not do harassing calls, emails towards each other. You shall not physically hurt each other.
But you do not have to prove to get a restraining order that you are under threat of immediate harm.
You could. That still could be a factor.
But you don't need that.
You just never went to the PPO route.
Or you don't need that. You don't need
Correct.
to show that you are under threat of harm.
No. Just that you want to keep things calm.
Yes. Okay.
The future calm.
Okay. And what are the consequences of violating a restraining order?
Would be what's called contempt of court.
And how does one start? For example, Mr. George does not have a case in any court. How does he go about obtaining a restraining order? Walk us through the ABCs of getting that.
Okay. Well, first you'd have to start his lawsuit, and his lawsuit would basically be, you breached my contract.
What if he does not want to do that? What if the proofs aren't there and it's a handshake, and
well, then you can still do what's called there's a legal term called quantum merit, which means I performed services that you benefited from, and therefore you still owe me money.
That's civilly, but let's go back to the restraining order.
Yeah,
If
otherwise
Mr.
he
George-
doesn't have any recourse against him.
So the restraining order has to be part of a pending lawsuit?
Pending lawsuit, yes.
Okay.
Yes, because he doesn't have grounds for a PPO because there's no immediacy.
Okay. Does a PPO have to be part of a lawsuit, or can...
No,
Okay.
PPO can be totally separate. It's in and of itself its own animal. It's a statutorily created protection for mainly, again, immediate actions of threat or harm. It could either be with a familial relationship or a dating relationship or a
Understood.
non-familiar relationship like a neighbor.
So, Mr. George, what Attorney Mark Gazdaki is saying is because you have waited, and we understand the circumstances that caused you to wait, and you did the right thing, of course, because you have waited, you can no longer prove, you cannot get a PPO because someone who waits 15 months, 15 days, I suppose, also, is not someone who is, quote unquote, in immediate threat of harm, because that's what's required for you to file a PPO against this person. So the other route that's available to you, but it's not available to you today, is if you end up filing a lawsuit against this person for one cause of action or another, then you can attempt to get a restraining order, which means that the two of you don't talk to each other, do not, have no relationship with each other, no communication with each other. But Attorney Mark Gazdaki is saying that a restraining order always has to be attached to a lawsuit, whereas a PPO does not have to be. But a PPO requires that courts do not hand PPOs easily because, and there could even be a hearing set up by the court to prove that the person who's alleging immediate threat of harm is really under immediate threat of harm and give the other side due process, a chance to come in and defend themselves. So PPOs they don't get handed very easily in a court, and you are not an immediate threat because that happened 15 months ago. A restraining order is not an avenue or an option for you today because you're not in a lawsuit. But if you are in a lawsuit, it's something that you can look at again. رح ترجم بطريقة سريعة وذكر المستمعين إنه thank you أستاذ جورج. I thank you very much for this call.
Thank you, Ms. Joumana. But I got one quick question.
Sure, go ahead.
If I want to protest against him in front of his business, would I have to have a certification for that, or I'm good with nothing?
What do you mean protest? When you say protest against his business, can you tell us what do you mean exactly?
I mean, because he's a religion guy, okay?
He's a what?
He's a religion guy. He's like a sheikh.
Okay, he's a religious person.
Yeah, he's like a sheikh or like priest, how we call it in Islam. And
it's enough to say he is a religious person. We'll leave it at that.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
So he got his own another business about Islamic school, and half of this money he opened this school from my money. So
but
I was wondering if I can go protest against him up there, will I have to have a certification for that from the police department?
Okay, you're speaking very generally, Mr. George. The bottom line, and this scenario applies to anybody. He could be a religious person, a non-religious person. He could have taken the money to open another business or not, pocketed the money. The answer is still the same. It's all about proof, Mr. George. It's all about proof. So, am I correct, Attorney Marcus?
Yes, because you could get yourself in major trouble doing that. He could turn around and call the police, and you could be arrested for disturbing the peace.
If he goes in person.
Yes, if he goes in person. Or he could also civilly sue you for tortious interference with his business. And you could be owing him a lot of money just because of denying him his customers.
So you have to be very careful, Mr. George, from going physically and putting, acting up, because you can be sued. You can be sued for interfering with his business. And although you don't mean to do that, but what you did was negligent, and he can file a lawsuit against you. The bottom line in every lawsuit is really the proof. Is as simple as that. I just want to quickly translate this into Arabic before we take hopefully another call. Thank you, Mr. George, for calling. You've taught us the difference between a PPO and a restraining order. I learned something I did not know. I am not a criminal law attorney. I know a little bit, but not a whole lot. Anyone who's interested in calling, we're taking calls today, comments about family law, about criminal. It can be, drunk driving. It can be domestic violence. It can be, possession of drugs, expungement of a criminal record, driving without a license. It could be family matters like divorce, separation, child support, alimony, reduction in child support, increase in child support, personal protection orders. And now we're going to add restraining orders, which is criminal as well as could be family, juvenile court, prenup, postnup, and the number to call here is 313-769-6666, and the number to call from Windsor is 519-256-1023. رامي، اليوم تعلمنا الفرق بين personal protection order و restraining order. الشخص اللي اتصل كان حس انه متعرض لخطر، بس الخطر من سنة و3 أشهر. خوفه انه هو جرين كارد هولدر وخوفه عدم الحصول على الجنسية الأمريكية، احتفظ وحاول انه ما يقدم بوليس ريبورت انتظر صار هلأ عنده جنسية، وإنما هيدا الانتظار اللي كان 15 شهر بيفرجي إنه الخطر عليه ما كان an immediate threat، وهيدا المطلوب لإنسان يقدر يقدم PPO. المحامي مركز ذكي قال له إنه إذا قدم دعوة، وفقط إذا قدم دعوة، لو شو ما كان أساس الدعوة، ساعتها بحق له يقدم شيء اسمه restraining order، يعني هو أمر من المحكمة بيمنع الطرفين من إنه يتعاطوا مع بعضهم بأي طريقة directly أو indirectly. So ال PPO ما بتحتاج ليكون في دعوة وراها. أي إنسان بيقدر يثبت إنه هو معرض لخطر بيقدر يقدم PPO تجاه الآخر. ما بنتمنى حدا يقدم لحدا على حدا PPO. وتاني شغلة الريسترينينج اوردر اللي هي اسهل، هي للاسف بده يكون في قبل دعوه، ان كانت دعوه جنائيه، ان كانت دعوه مدنيه، مش مهم شو سبب الدعوه. رامي، بناخد اتصال اخر اذا بتسمح. Hello.
Yes. Hello. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you. And who are we speaking with?
Ali.
Hello, Ustaz Ali. Go ahead.
Okay. Do you want me to ask you in English or Arabic?
You can ask in English. This way, Mark will understand, and then I will briefly translate it into Arabic so that we're all on the same page.
Okay. Got it. Okay. So my question is, back in 2008, there is a person who said, he does stock market, stuff like that. And he said, when he gets money, after 6 months, he will give you interest on top of it.
Okay,
so,
you invested money with somebody back in 2008?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Probably you heard about this before or not.
Well, I have heard of similar schemes, but I don't know about your particular situation, I don't think.
Okay. So I did give him, invest money with him, and back then I only have like a piece of paper in Arabic. It says, your money, if we lose or anything, I'll give you whatever, the money.
The principal. You will get back the money.
Exactly, without interest.
Okay.
So I agreed to that.
Okay.
Since 2008 until now, he's gone overseas. I heard he just came back probably a few months ago. Can I do like a lawsuit or anything?
So let me ask you before Attorney Margazdagi answers. Have you filed anything against him in the past 11 years?
No, because he's gone.
Yes.
Since 2008.
Well, you could have filed and gotten a default judgment, but go ahead, Attorney Margazdagi.
Well,
and the beauty of that default judgment is good for 10 years. So
Yeah.
if you took it 11 years ago, you could have renewed it a year ago, which is good for another 10 years. And now if he's in the country, you can try to enforce it. But go ahead.
yes, that's what you should have done. You should have.
What he should have done is talk to an attorney.
Yes,
is
he
what
should have-
done.
he
He's
should
not
have-
expected to know.
Yeah. When you see these investment deals, I would like to say deals. I don't want to say scams. they're very tricky. They, there's something you should have reported it to the police. They would have questioned them. They would have had the detectives question the person, because it's sort of like what's called a Ponzi scheme.
Why is it a criminal matter?
Well,
is it theft of money? It's stealing money.
It's more like that.
It's conversion.
It's conversion. It's like
okay.
it's like larceny by trick, or where if you give me this, I'll give you that.
In other words, Mr. Ali, he stole his money by tricking you into giving him the money and promising you after 6 months, interest rate or at least your principal. So that's the trick, and it's larceny, which is another word for stealing. Okay.
You're not dealing with.
So that makes it a criminal matter,
correct,
which allows you to file a police report.
Yes, you're not dealing with someone who has a licensed investor. They're dealing with all kinds of regulations under their license.
Would he have had a protection under that?
Yeah, that would have actually helped him even further with his criminal action. Actually, even civil, because he could have said he wasn't investing it right.
Okay. And what is the grounds for the civil action? What would he have called it? Conversion.
Yeah, probably conversion of money, fraud.
Yes,
fraud by intentional fraud by mistake.
Fraud. So what can Mr. Ali 11 years later do now that he knows that the gentleman is back in the country, or he thinks?
Well, the statute of limitations on contracts is 6 years.
Did you hear that, Mr. Ali? If this was a contract that you entered into with this gentleman, and it's certainly among other things a contract, the law gives you only 6 years under a contract to sue someone who has allegedly violated or breached that contract. That means that you had until 2000 and I can't count today, 2014.
Okay, but I didn't know, since he said once I get the, money, definitely until today, he promised a lot of people, and one of them me. Anytime that I get money, I'll just give it to you. But this is just, to put you, come down.
Mr. Ali, did you consult with a lawyer?
No, never. Just like I said, I didn't know what to do. He's gone overseas.
But see, so that's what you do when you don't know what to do. In this country, there are laws and rules about everything. And that's what we do when we don't know what to do, is we inquire about what our rights are. And this is not to beat you. This is really to learn. This is really to learn for everyone, is that when you don't know, consult an attorney, but then you'll know more. A competent attorney would have told you that this is a contract dispute from the civil end, and you only have 6 years. Promises do not toll what's called the statute of limitation. Do not stop. Statute of limitation means the time the law gives you to sue someone. And in a civil manner, if it's a contract, it's only 6 years. So a lawyer would have informed you that all the promises in the world will not stop that 6 years from running.
And they would have looked at your document too and said that's not enough for a valid investment agreement.
What about if he were now to file a police report? I don't know if
that statute of limitations is gone too. That's 6 years too.
To file a police report?
Yeah, for a crime. What I would have done. And never do this again. Learn from your mistake.
We're not beating on you, Mr. Ali.
Yeah, just learn from your mistake. Or for anyone out there in the listening area, if you're approached by someone who's like this, there's two things you do first of all. One is say, wow, that sounds like an interesting proposition. Let me think about it. Because they really don't want you to think about it. They want you to get, very interested in the proposal and get your money out real quick, and then they say, okay, now I'm going to invest it. What you need to do is first talk to your lawyer or find a lawyer to talk to, and second of all, you can even go to the bank that you normally bank with. They have investment counselors, and they're actually very good at asking the questions, because they would say right off the bat, that's not normal.
Okay. And would also give him probably, hopefully, advice to look up that person and see if they are licensed.
Correct. If they're licensed or not. And if you find out that they're not, then you can go to the police and then say, look, this person approached me. and I went to my bank, and the bank says that's not a licensed person, and also it's not something that's in a legitimate investment, they will take that information, start an investigation, and probably would have approached that gentleman and had them come into their police station to further see how many other people he's done this to.
So had you filed a police report, that would have triggered the police to go talk to him and so forth. But I understand that the statute of limitation for most crimes, except murder, is 6 years, meaning that if you have been the victim of a crime, you cannot file a police report that's older than 6 years. And by the way, I just want to say that practically speaking, the longer you take to file a police report about something you're alleging you have been the victim of, the less likely a prosecutor is going to believe you.
Correct.
Because they're going to say, wait a minute, you've been the victim of all this and you waited a year, you waited 2 years, you waited 6 months. So people should think, and we're not encouraging people to file police reports against each other, but some things you have to file a police report in a very quick manner, because otherwise a prosecutor is going to question your credibility and your motives. Correct?
Correct.
Yes. Mr. Ali, thank you for the call. And can we quickly ask you, how much money did you invest with him?
I'm sorry?
How much money did you invest with this?
Oh, around 20K.
Oh, that's a lot of money.
It is. Yes, it is. And that was, a student loan that I took, to help me, around the school. I'm still paying for it until this, yes.
Oh.
I'm still paying another probably 2 years.
So you know what this is called? This is called tuition. It's like you went to school, you paid $20,000, and you learned a very valuable lesson for the rest of your life about right, and it cost you in tuition $20,000. You're never gonna repeat that again, and you're gonna advise people about it.
Never.
So that was your school.
$1 to invest, I will never do that in my life.
Well, you will investigate and you will do your due diligence.
Yes.
And go to a licensed investment professional.
Yes. Thank you so much. I love the show.
Thank
Beautiful.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ali. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you. And we will take another call. And before we do that, we want to remind the listeners that for the rest of the hour, we're taking calls with Attorney Mark Gazdagi, who has 27 years of experience on a lot of matters, including but not limited to family law and criminal law. The numbers here on 313-769-6666 and 519-256-1023. And we can take another call. Hello?
Hello, hi, Mr. Joumana. How are you?
Hello, sir. And who are we talking with?
Yeah, this is Mustafa.
Hello, it is Mustafa. Go ahead. Do you have a question?
Yeah, hi to you and your guest, Attorney Mark. I just filed a divorce, and we have like one child. But my wife needs to take the full custody for the kid.
Needs or wants?
Just one kid I have.
No. Does your wife want full custody, or does your wife need full custody?
No, she wants.
She wants.
The legal and the physical.
Okay, let me ask you, how old is your child and what's the gender of your child?
7 years old.
Girl or a boy?
Girl.
A girl, okay.
Yeah, and we live right now in her house under her name, but I don't see it like that way. I disagree for that. I don't know exactly what the difference between the legal custody and the physical custody. It should be like joint between me and her. So I just want to know what the difference is.
Sure. So thank you, Mr. Mustafa. So Mr. Mustafa, unfortunately, is going through a divorce, and he has a 7-year-old daughter. And his question is, his wife wants to have physical and legal custody, and he does not understand the difference between full physical and legal custody. Okay. Go ahead.
Thank you. Are you living with your wife and your child right now?
Yes.
Okay. And when did she start her divorce?
I didn't sign it yet, but we back and forth. I have that file. I didn't sign it.
No, his question is, when did you file or when did she file for divorce?
or have you filed yet?
Okay, the question is for Mr. Mustafa. I think he said divorce was just filed. So let's assume within the past 2 or 3 months.
Okay, let's assume. Of course, as we spoke about the situation a few weeks ago on the show.
Before we go to the 11 factors, can we give a brief explanation of legal versus physical?
Okay. Legal custody is each parent has the right to decide official decision work, which means medical decisions with the doctor, schooling decisions with the school system, dealing with the school officials regarding the behavior or performance of your child.
So may I interrupt? Mm-hmm. So just to make it very simple for you, Mr. Mustafa, legal custody means the ability to make the major decisions for the child. Where does she go to school? Maybe religious decisions. And your wife is asking for full legal custody. In other words, to put it simply, to put it in plain language, she is in other words saying to the court, let me as the mother be the only person to decide these big decisions for my daughter. Correct?
Correct.
Okay, she's asking for that.
Yes.
But under the law, unless there is a reason for that, the dad and the mom have the right to joint legal custody, meaning both get to decide, does the daughter go to this school, to that school? Does she attend religious classes or not? We're not talking about small matters.
No,
we're talking about the major matters. Mm-hmm. And if there is a disagreement, you go back to the court and you let the judge who is there, whose number one concern is the well-being of the child, decide that. So, Mr. Mustafa, when your wife says, I want full legal custody, she means by that, I want to be the only one, and not you, Mr. Mustafa, to decide the major life decisions for her daughter. What about full physical custody?
Now, full physical custody means that she would make the determination of where the child lives and make the determination of what happens in the household with that child.
Does it also mean that the daughter will be with the mother 100% of the time?
Well, not necessarily.
Okay.
You still have visitation rights. It's just that the wife would have full say over what happens when the child comes back and forth, unless a court order says you have specific dates and times of those dates when you have to come and bring them back and forth.
So,
but normally, a court will never grant both sole physical.
So before we go into that, he wants to first understand what she's asking for or what her lawyer is asking for. So the second part of what she's asking for, which is full physical custody.
Yeah.
In other words, the daughter is primarily or maybe solely with her, and the mom decides where the daughter lives. And however, the father can be granted visitations.
Yes.
So the mom can still have full physical custody and grant visitations to the father. Now, what you're about to say is that generally speaking, when both mom and dad are fit, there is absolutely no reason why any judge will agree to that. Correct?
Correct.
Normally it should be joint because the daughter needs a mom and a dad. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. So
the court mainly, unless there's other issues alleged in the divorce, like
drinking,
physical, mental abuse,
domestic
violence, or you, like Joumana just said, you have a drinking or drug problem, or
in other words,
there's a history
that would make Mr.
of that,
Mustafa not
like a criminal history of leaving your children abandoned. There's no reason why the court would ever deny you your rights to your child, and they start off at both joint physical and joint legal custody, and move the scale left or right depending on what the issues are, in particular in your divorce. It seems like right now, since you're living at the household with your child and your wife, I don't think there's any immediate harm of any violence or anything like that. That's only supposition, but it doesn't seem like there's any real grounds for just her saying she needs so physical, so legal. So it doesn't, to me, it sounds like she filed this on her own. It doesn't sound like she has an attorney. I could be wrong.
Yeah, we understand, and we only speak generally. So, Mr. Mustafa, most courts, most judges, they don't so much care about the husband and the wife as they care about the well-being of the child. And unless there is something wrong with the mom or there is something wrong with the dad, most judges will not, just because somebody asks for full legal custody and full physical custody, does not automatically mean at all that the judge will say yes, because the judge knows that the child needs both parents. So she can ask, but that does not mean that she will get it unless there is something big, such as, drinking, domestic violence, gambling, drugs, and so forth. But the meaning of full legal custody is she makes all the decisions for your daughter, and full physical custody is that your daughter will primarily be with her and she decides where she resides and so forth. And that's what she is asking for, but that's not what she's going to necessarily get at all.
Correct, because the court system also employs the friend of the court. It's a division of the court which allows investigators to flush out all of these issues and to make a recommendation to the judge independently of each lawyer.
Yes.
Saying this is what we think is in the best interest of the child. And
in other words, the friends of the court are very important in a family court.
Yes.
And the judges rely a lot on the friends of the court. Correct. Okay. We will take another caller. Hello?
Hello.
Yes, hi. Who are we speaking with?
مرحبا ست جمانة.
يا أهلا وسهلا. مع مين عم نحكي؟
عم تحكي مع ليديا هوما. How are you?
Well, hello ليديا. hello.
دقتلك بس بدي أحكي
نحن
معك.
بالأكثر.
مرحبا.
حبيبتي أنت.
والله يخلينا
أنا
إياكي
بحبك
يا
كتير.
أحلى محامية بالعالم.
حبيبتي. You're very kind. أنت بتحبيني كتير. وأنا بحبك
كثير كثير لأنك إنسانة محترمة وإنسانة طيبة وإنسانة بتحب الحق مع كل العالم. والله يخليكي بصحتك والله بيطول بعمرك يا رب.
Thank you ليديا، وأنا بحبك كتير ومن كل قلبي. وأنا بشكرك
الله يخلينا إياكي يا رب.
Thank you ليديا، وأنا بشكرك على الاتصال.
ولا يهمك، بس سمعت صوتك كنت حابة أسلم عليك.
Thank you ليديا، وأنت كمان ويفتحها بوجهك دايما يا رب.
حبيبة قلبي، الله النبي معك يا حبيبتي.
Thank you. وانت كمان. Bye bye. A wonderful caller who is calling to give a wonderful, kind, encouraging compliment.
Oh, that's great.
Thank you to Lydia. Thank you very much. وبناخد اتصال آخر. Hello. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Yes. Hi.
Hi, Joumana.
Hi, sir. Can we ask you to just bring maybe the radio volume a bit down?
Oh, I apologize.
That's okay, no biggie, because I know we make you wait. So you've been waiting probably. Who are we speaking with?
My name is David.
Hello, David.
I just want to say, Joumana, thank you for all your work, and you're a huge inspiration for all of us.
Oh.
And I wanted to also ask a question. I'm a law student at the University of Michigan, and we learned about this concept that when you owe somebody a certain amount of money and it defaults on that, but if you turn around and acknowledge that debt or even pay as much as $1 on it, then it reactivates and they now have legal standing with you again. So would that apply to the gentleman who called a few calls ago about the amount of money that he was owed from 11 years ago?
Okay, well, first off, David, I just want to tell you congratulations on your journey. I want to say that the University of Michigan, are you at the University of Michigan Law School?
Yes.
I don't know if I know your dad, because I know someone who's very special who told me that his son is now at the University of Michigan Law School. I don't know if that's you, but I want to I want to tell you what you already know, and maybe what the listeners don't know. The University of Michigan ranks, it's almost impossible to get accepted into the University of Michigan Law School. It's like getting accepted to Harvard Law School and Yale Law School. And not too long ago, it ranked 6th highest ranking law school in the country by the U.S. News and World Report. I don't know in the past 2 or 3 years, but that's a huge ranking when there are hundreds of law schools nationwide. So you must be very smart and or studious, and congratulations to you. We look forward to having you in our legal community.
Thank you.
So the question is, if you pay, this is a contract question. If you pay in part, you're talking about what's called specific performance. If you perform on a contract.
Not specific performance exactly, but if there is a debt that you owe to a creditor and you let it default beyond its statute of limitation.
Yes.
But if you turn around and pay or acknowledge the debt in any way, either by just a
partial payment
or partial payment, then it reactivates
the statute of limitation.
That was my understanding that we learned in business law.
That's pretty true. Credit card companies really try. You see it always in credit card cases, where, say, for example, you had a debt with Sears. It's been sitting out there for like 5 years, 6 years.
Right.
And then you make a payment because they tricked you. And now the time limit starts again.
From when you made that last payment.
From when you made the last payment. However, if the statute of limitations has run, you still can argue with the court that, nope, even though they tricked me, that was a stale debt. They have to. So why they true? That's what you see in the credit card company situations, and I've dealt with this a lot. They sell these debts so many times to other debt buyers that the final collection agency who gets it, they say, "Oh shoot, we have to do something because we're approaching the 6-year limit."
Will the 6 years start from the oldest debt?
The 6 years.
Or is it a statute of limitation?
The 6 years starts from the last date of your last payment.
Last date of your last payment. So when they trick you to pay,
then
there goes the 6 years again.
There you go. Yeah.
So what is your advice to?
Well, it's kind of tricky. If my advice is that if you know you had a debt out there and you can't pay it, don't acknowledge it. Don't pay it. Don't do anything. Let them sue you.
Because a partial payment
could extend
the deadline by which they can sue you.
As long as the debt's valid in the first place.
Yes.
I see.
Yes.
So what I was thinking, if you could just allow me, what I was thinking with the gentleman who invested $20,000, if the person he had given the money to, if he gave him so much as, let's say, $10 or $100, would that reactivate that debt and give him legal standing?
Well, if he was still within that 6-year period of time initially.
The caller, Ali, did not mention that there was any payment made. He said that back in 2008, he invested $20,000 and never got a penny back, correct?
Right.
Yes, correct.
So the 6 years are long gone.
Yeah.
He has no avenue.
Yeah.
I see.
Courts institute these statutes. Well, the legislature instituted these statutes so that we don't have disputes linger forever.
Right.
Either do something or not.
Right. Well, I appreciate your clarification, and I really want to thank you again. I think these segments are very important in just making the legal system accessible to the common person. So thank you. Thank you again.
Thank you, David. Thank you for calling. Thank you for contributing. Congratulations. May God be with you in your studies. And call always. Thank you for your kind compliments as well. And we will take another caller. Hello?
Hello?
Yes. Who are we speaking with?
This is Mike.
Hello, Mr. Mike.
Hello, Miss Joumana. I have 2 cases, I think, and
Go
a proposition.
ahead. Proposition? I like the proposition.
Yes.
Okay.
Are you available for marriage?
Do I answer, or I'll have my lawyer answer for me here?
We have to discuss the terms.
I like that. But worry not. We're not looking at material terms, because we know that doesn't make for a good marriage or for a lasting marriage or for happiness. So we can assure you the terms will not involve material, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Right. I will treat you like the queen you are.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. You're very kind.
Okay, sweetheart.
Okay, no problem.
Here's the cases.
Okay.
First one, I leased a gas station from a guy and paid $35,000 deposit and monthly payment, monthly rent. And he promised to fix the pumps, or at least to keep everything going as it's supposed to, and he reneged.
So let me make sure I understand. You entered into a lease agreement with someone who owns a gas station. You paid him $35,000. You started performing on the contract and you paid him monthly leases, correct?
Right.
Okay. And there was a promise that he will
repair everything above and underground.
Okay. And so my question to you is, was that promise oral or was that part of the lease?
It is oral, because I'm looking at the lease now and I can't find that
That is your issue.
Yeah, that's an issue. But I have text messages from him.
Okay.
Promising to fix everything and wait, and the repairman will be there in a minute and wait for him. And he did send one at one time. Then he stopped completely. And here's the point. He left the country. And he he stole money from a lot of people.
Okay. And let me ask you, are you still paying him every month?
No, I left. I closed down the gas station. I went out of business.
Are you in violation as far as the monthly lease? Are you in violation of your lease contract with him? Oh.
Yes, except I have text from him saying, listen, I don't want any more rent.
Okay, so he agreed to change the contract and you have that in writing. Mr. Mike, I do apologize. It is 1:00 and I'm being told that we need to wrap up. If you would like to call our office and discuss this, there are many. This is like a law school question, because of performance, because of oral contracts, because of part performance, because of people who left, and we're more than happy to help you and give you guidance at least. If you'd like to call the office, please do that. And if you'd like to call the next time we're on the air to discuss it further so that we can all learn from this, happy to do that as well.
Thank you very much. I will call the office.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mike. Thank you very much for the call. Thank you for the kind compliment and the marriage proposal. You will get back to him and you will.
That's right.
Thank you to all the listeners. نحن بنشكر كل المستمعين وكل اللي ساهموا اليوم،
واتصلوا
اللي شاركوا اليوم. أسئلتهم كانت رائعة جدا وأنا شخصيا